Welcome to the IT Career Energizer podcast. For anyone who wants to build and grow a career in IT, develop and improve your strengths and skills, be inspired and motivated by the successes of others, manage your career progression, and achieve your IT career goals. And now, your host, Phil Burgess.
Welcome to episode 222 of the IT Career Energizer podcast. My guest on today's show is the Caretaker General of the Neo4j Developer Community. For the past few years, he has been working with Neo technology on the open source Neo4j graph database. He likes to help Neo4j users to be successful with their use cases and projects, and he is the project lead of Spring Data Neo4j. He is also an author of several books, as well as a regular conference speaker. So welcome to the podcast, Michael Hunger.
Thanks a lot, Phil, for having me. Yeah, thanks, and for the introduction. That was a really good introduction.
So I just wondered if you maybe could tell us a bit more about the developer community in particular.
The developer community, that's a pretty broad question. So as Kent Beck already said, software development is about people. So I think most of the things that we deal with on a daily basis is not so much the technology and just problem solving, but also working a lot with people. So making sure to learn, to support them, to help each other, to guide people, mentorship, and so on. So I think in our developer community around Neo4j especially, there's a lot of people who are really active and encouraging and helpful to others. And what we want to do as Neo4j is kind of encourage everyone to contribute and help others, and not just think about your own things, but also support your community as such. That could be all in like just answering questions, writing articles, building tools, or sharing your use cases and uses of the database.
Right.
So it's a pretty broad way of interacting.
Indeed. So in terms of the size, how big is the community?
So it's a little bit hard with open source communities because not everyone is forced to sign up somewhere. So there are large amounts of users who never actually reach out, who just use the product or the project and never let you know about it, which is sad on one side, but it's kind of the way it is. So we have between 150,000 and 200,000 people in our community that we work with, as I said, a certain number of folks that we don't know about. So that's the current size.
So, Michael, can you perhaps tell us about a career tip, one that maybe the audience don't know about and perhaps should?
Yeah, so one career tip that I have that I think is very useful, there's a book called Apprenticeship Patterns, which is really interesting because it's a collection of behaviors that are very suitable for people joining and starting with the industry, and tips and tricks basically from a lot of practitioners that have been interviewed by the authors. And I was reviewer of the book, and I enjoyed it so much that even now, after more than 10 years, I'm still advocating for it because it kind of captures the essence of many of the things that we should do and we are benefiting from when kind of starting in a new industry. So one is kind of course, something like continuous learning. But for instance, another tip from that book is share your knowledge. So for instance, if you learn something new, just write it up, publish it as a blog post, or give a talk about it, because a lot of people will have the same problems as you had, and you just having learned it are in the best position to share that again. And mentorship is another important thing. So if you can find a mentor, then definitely make use of that. And so this book is kind of just a really great collection of amazing tips and tricks from practitioners who have been in the industry for a long time, and what helped them over their careers most, kind of to get better, help others get better, and so on. So that's my tip.
And there's some great ones in there, in particular the once you've learned something, trying to teach somebody else about it, that sort of helps with the reinforcement of your understanding of what you learned as well.
Exactly, because if you share something, be it in a talk or in a blog post, then you have to revisit your understanding, and then because you have to explain it, you have to go deeper than just superficially, and then you learn so much more about it yourself. So it's double beneficial, not that you help others, but you also help yourself getting better at the thing that you want to share. So it's a good forcing function in that way to help you.
And Michael, can you perhaps tell us about your worst IT career moment and what you learned from that experience?
Yeah, as I said before, IT is a lot about people, right? So, and I think my worst moments were also about people when I actually messed up communication. So, for instance, I have one case where I was really frustrated about someone, and instead of kind of taking the time and thinking about it, about reasons that a person might have had to do what they did, I just typed out an email and sent it to someone, and I didn't realize that the person that I was talking about was actually in the recipient list. And so that kind of taught me the lesson to, first think about it, sleep over it, and also, put yourself in the shoes of the person. And there often are legitimate reasons why someone acted the way they acted, and kind of not following your impulse and just firing off is something that it's really useful at work, but also, of course, in general. And I'm not great at patience, and I'm not great at like holding back, but it's something that I got better at since that incident.
It's something I've also learned over time as well, particularly if you receive an email which is quite cold in the fact that communication can be quite blunt. But often if something is there that maybe I would have an instant response to, I'll actually try to walk away from it or leave it for a couple of hours and come back to it. So it becomes less raw.
Yeah, that's true. And oftentimes, I mean, it's also the limit of written communication, right? So you can only put so much into into writing. So if you have the opportunity to talk to the person face to face, then of course that's often a better um, possibility to deal with situations like that than to just fire off an email or a message or something like that.
And Michael, can you tell us about your career highlight or greatest success?
Um, yeah, so I mean, my biggest thing in my career that was beneficial to me the most was kind of starting to work in open source, because that completely changed my life and my career. When I was starting after university, I already contributed to a bunch of projects, but then I kind of intensified it, and working in the open source communities just opened up so many, on one side, connections to a lot of really great people, but also opportunities for my career. So working now at Neo4j, which is an open source product and project as well, was actually triggered by me being part of another open source project, which got me to attend a conference, which was a really small conference on a ferry on the Baltic Sea, and where the founder of Neo4j actually gave a talk about this graph database thing in 2008. And meeting him there, and then kind of, staying in contact, building things in open source for Neo4j kind of made me join the company really early on. And I think open source is such a great way of collaborating, showing what you can do, and working together on things. But it opens up nowadays so many opportunities in your career, because you can work in any company, because everyone uses open source software, and lots of companies are building open source software as well. So for me, that was the biggest thing that kind of completely changed my career as such.
And that's a significant shift, isn't it, towards open source? I'm thinking back to early in my career, that just was not a thing at all. It's certainly something that more companies are now embracing.
Yeah, so it's interesting, right? So when we started, it was a lot of proprietary software, of course, and you had a really different relationship to the software vendors, right? So because it was like them and you were just a paying customer, and you had to do whatever they gave you.
Yeah.
And nowadays, also expectations change a lot. So when you, for instance, run into an issue, you raise the issue publicly, and then you also have an expectation that it's fixed within a short period of time, but also that the developer who actually fixes the bug kind of interacts with you, and you can actually also contribute the bug fix yourself and things like that. So like many of these things happen now out in the open and not behind closed doors anymore, which also change your understanding, for instance, of the software and your ability to also contribute and fix things. But also, if you look at like all the large companies, everyone is so reliant on open source software and throughout the whole stack. It wouldn't be unimaginable like 20 years ago, for instance. Right? So that's definitely a big change.
Indeed, yes. Okay, and Michael, what excites you about the future of the industry and careers in IT?
So there are a lot of things that excite me. Let me start again on the people side. So something that I very much try to advance and support is kind of teaching kids and especially girls to program, because nowadays the world is all software everywhere you look, right? So, and I think having a development a skill set from the beginning, from the get-go, when you're in school, gives you so much more understanding. Even if you don't work in IT later, just to understand how things work is so empowering. And so personally, I teach a girls only coding class in afternoons in our high school, which I find really important because, as you know, the field is really skewed in diversity, and kind of doing anything I can possibly do to help to change that is something that I very much care about. So not just kind of teaching the girls, which is an amazing experience, but also looking at when we hire for our team to make sure that we have an equal rate in genders and races and backgrounds. That's something that I very much care about.
Yeah, so diversity in particular is very important to you.
Yeah, very, very much so. And I have 3 daughters myself, so I also see that as something which I think their career should not be limited by being the single woman in a 10-person team or something like that, right? So they should have equal chances in all the things that they do. The other things that excite me a lot are like the possibilities that technology offers these days in so many areas, right? So from improving education all around the globe, opening up new communication channels, allowing people to investigate things that might have been hidden in the past. So, for instance, investigative reporting that can now access data sources and connect the dots. Things like the technology, using technology also to address larger problems like climate change and so on. So that those are things that excite me, and something that really impressed me in the last years is all the amazements and outcomes of machine learning. So that's something that I hadn't expected to pull off so quickly now again after the winter, AI winter. Uh, but looking at what's possible there is both really impressive. It's also really scary, I think, because we as humans often don't really understand what we're doing there and what happens if you feed a machine learning algorithm with biased data or wrong data, and how does it use that data to make decisions. So it's both a big opportunity for all of us, but also a big challenge how to make sure that like these algorithms are fair and objective and are actually supporting everyone to have a better life in the future.
Yes.
So that's something that I'm super excited about for the opportunity. Yeah.
Michael, we're going to go into the reveal round now. We're going to find out a little bit more about you and the way you think. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, sure.
So what first attracted you to a career in IT?
I started writing computer programs on paper when I was 10 in East Germany. So I didn't have a computer. I didn't have like means to program, but I found in the library, I found a book about BASIC, basically. And because I was bored in school, I started to write computer programs on paper. And that was my beginning of like development. And then it started from there. So from a really young age, I was always fascinated about what you can do with computers. And I have to say, we can count ourselves really lucky that for us, like our hobby or like our passion became our job. So I think that's something that's very special. And so it doesn't feel like a job, actually, even if I work like, I don't know, 12 hours a day or 16 hours a day sometimes. it doesn't really feel like a job. And my kids sometimes say, "Daddy, you're working all the time," but we see that it's actually you're still having fun. How do you do that?
Yes. Yeah.
And that's the reason, because it's kind of what I love to do, and I love to solve problems, make things work, build things that actually do things, and or build programs that do things. And I'm really not good at like manual work. Like I'm not good at crafting and like um, repairing things and so on. But I'm really good at like making virtual things work and grow. And so that's kind of where my early childhood interests actually became throughout my whole life. The thing that I always wanted to do.
And what is the best career advice you've ever received?
The best career advice that I ever received was make every day a day where you learn something new. So for me, a day when I didn't learn something new is like a lost day. So that's something that I try to pay attention to, that I take as many opportunities to learn new things, not just improve and get better at the things that I already know, but also pick up new pieces of knowledge or skills during the day, because you never know where something helps you, even if it's very contrary to things that you're currently working on. But this kind of continuous learning is something that I really try to embrace and focus on. And so far, it's been amazing how much you can get from that. And such.
And conversely, what is the worst career advice you've ever received?
Um, I think to focus on yourself and your own career advancement is something that people try to tell me is something I should do, but luckily I didn't follow it, because whenever you try to silo into yourself and focus on yourself, then it becomes so narrow. And if you're self-centered in what you do, you can't benefit from all the other things that are happening. And you also don't benefit from collaboration. So, for instance, I very much like to do pair programming, for instance. And if you would kind of only focus on yourself, then you wouldn't want to share what you know with the other person, or you wouldn't want to share your code with the other person. And so some people are really focused on, okay, it's my career, it's my responsibility, and I have to advance. And no matter kind of how many uh, wounded people and projects I leave behind, as long as I can advance, I will use that opportunity. And so that was the worst advice that I ever got.
And if you were to begin your career again in today's world, what would you do?
Today's world looks very differently from the world that I grew up in. As I said, I'm from Eastern Germany, from behind the Iron Curtain. So the world, actually, the falling of the Iron Curtain kind of enabled me to do many of the things that I do today. So what I would do differently I would be much more active around going around the world and learn in different places from different people with different backgrounds, and make this a more active thing from the get go. So in university, I would have kind of switched countries or cities or so yearly or so. That would be something that I would do differently today, because after all, the world is a really small place. And I think that's something that changed my life also quite a lot, kind of to work with people from all over the world on a daily basis, which is really an amazing thing to be possible, to be able to do that with today's technology. And go really kind of broad. I wouldn't specialize. I would really try to go broad and learn and look into as many topics as possible, especially also beyond IT. So I did computer science at university, but I also kind of noticed that many people that don't have a computer science background but come from biology or physics or even social sciences, often people do better in software development when they don't have a CS background, because some of them are, for instance, better at problem solving and breaking down problems into smaller pieces. Others are better at like the interactions. So I wonder if I would go back to CS or actually study something else, and then kind of join the IT industry from the side. Actually, that's probably something I would do differently with knowing what I know today.
Sure. I mean, there's certainly that opportunity now, probably more so than there was 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's true. Because nowadays there's even more overlap between the
Yeah,
fields.
exactly.
That's true. Yeah.
And what career objectives are you currently focusing on?
So my current focus is very much again on the people side. So for a long time I've been developing software, building projects, and now our team, our developer relations team at Neo4j has grown to a size uh, where there's much more to do on the like people side of things. So kind of helping our team members to grow, giving them feedback, being there as a sounding board, making sure that they have everything that they need is a quite a change for me, and that's something where I also have to skill up and kind of acquire new skills in listening and making decisions on that side. How do I help people also in difficult situations? How do I make difficult decisions, for instance? And so that's something that you don't learn in CS, right? So and all these skills is something that I need to get better at, and that I'm currently focusing on, and also learning to delegate, because that's also really tough a skill, because of course you would want to do everything yourself because that's quick and you know what you're doing, and but trusting other people and helping other people grow by delegation and kind of rather focusing on giving feedback is sometimes a hard thing, because you want to do it yourself and it's really you know you're getting nervous, really wanting to type yourself, but kind of consciously stepping back and saying, okay, I want to delegate this, and this is a part of the program that someone else should build because they learn as well. And so that's something else that's currently an objective right now.
And what's the number one non-technical skill that has helped you in your career so far?
Um, I'm pretty good at getting a lot of information out of people. So kind of when I talk to someone, it's easy for me to kind of get into their way of thinking in their mind and ask the right questions to get more, learn more from them. So my wife always says that's a skill that she loves, she would have. And even if it's not like IT field, just being able to learn something really quickly from someone. Imagine you meet someone at a party or so, and then they're from a completely different area, and you want to learn about in IT, let's say embedded programming, or let's say biology or something like that. And I'm good at asking the right questions to get deeper and deeper. And afterwards, they say, "Oh, did you study this?" And I say, "No, I have. I'm just a software developer who's good at asking the right questions." And so that's a skill that has been super useful. The other skill that's very useful, but it's not really a skill, is that I don't need a lot of sleep. So I have only like 3 to 4 hours a night,
Wow.
and that gives me a lot of additional time to do more stuff, which
Yeah.
is really, really cool.
I'm not sure I could do that. That's too much.
Yeah, it's been doing that for more than 40 years now, so it seems to be okay for me at least.
And what do you do to keep your own career energized?
um, I try to read a lot, so I try to use opportunities to when I'm traveling or on the road. Also, I read a lot. I listen a lot to podcasts. So because when you go running or go out, then that's something that is really easy to get into. So I listen to a lot of technical and non-technical podcasts, and that's good. Running, for instance, is also something that helps me a lot. In the last few years, I started running, and it's really cool to get out in the middle of the night, for instance.
It
So I
is.
often run at midnight or so, and so that's nice. And then the other thing, as a to keep me energized, is kind of go meet other people at conferences and other places, and try to talk as to a lot of different people from different backgrounds, because it opens up my eyes to many new ideas, to many thoughts that I might not have had myself. And so which gives me always, when I come back from a conference, I have a lot of new ideas and things that I want to try out, and so that definitely gives me always a big boost in what I want to do.
I know we just touched on the fact you do running, but what else do you do away from technology?
As I mentioned, I have 3 girls, so I try to find time for the family. So what I actually did is I blocked off my afternoon, so from 3 to 9. So 3 in the afternoon to 9 in the evening. I have family time where I don't take meetings and I don't take calls, and I really spend time with the kids. We do a lot of board games. So as you might know, Germany is a very board game crazy country. So we have, I don't know, almost 100 board games at home, and so we try to do this. Go outside, go to the park. I started to meditate for the last year or so. That's really something that I wouldn't have thought would give me so much back. So kind of the mindful meditation, where you learn more about yourself and your body, and that helped me a lot also when I was in pain this year, or when I was having a difficult time. Kind of just being able to take the step back and focus on yourself, and that was something that was really, really good. And otherwise, just the usual, going out hiking and things like that. But
And Michael, can you share a parting piece of career advice with the IT Career Energizer audience?
the advice I would have for everyone, especially starting in the industry, is not to be afraid. So you shouldn't be afraid to contribute to projects, ask questions. So even if you're somewhere and there's a world-renowned speaker at a conference, all these people are actually very, very human, and they don't have like celebrity kind of style behavior. They are all very open to questions, and if you want to learn something, so don't be afraid to approach folks and ask them. And there's almost no means to make a really bad mistake by being not afraid and trying to do something. And just I often say I rather ask for forgiveness than permission. So I often just do things and then figure out later if there might be negative consequences. So, but I saw that from a lot of people who are too scared to ask a conference speaker for something, or too scared to contribute to the project, and which would have kind of given them so much more in their future career. And so that would be something that I would like to share.
And finally, what's the best way we can find out more about you and connect with you?
So I'm active quite a lot on Twitter and GitHub, and you find, if you search for Michael Hunger in general, you find me pretty easily. My Twitter handle is a little bit hard to spell. It's MESIRII. So it's a little bit hard to spell. It was a being from a Star Trek novel that I read when I was 15 or something like that, and I kept it as a handle. So that's the easiest way. Or JEXP on GitHub and in other places for Java expert. Basically, that was my freelance company.
Michael, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. It's been great chatting with you.
Thank you. Likewise. Thanks for having me.
Well, I hope you enjoyed listening in to today's episode and to my guest career tips, advice and experiences. You'll find a show notes page for today's episode on the IT Career Energizer website, which will be itcareerenergizer.com/e and then the number of today's episode. And a quick reminder that the show has now 3 episodes every week on Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. So make sure that you are subscribed to the show to get new episodes automatically downloaded. Also, don't forget to join the IT Career Energizer Community Facebook group. You'll get to engage with other like-minded people, get to find out more about upcoming guests and other episodes, and can get involved in the future direction of the podcast. It really is a great pleasure to be able to talk to so many inspirational people from across the industry and to be able to share their stories and advice with you. Thanks for listening, and remember, if you're not growing your career, you're slowing your career.
Thanks for listening to the IT Career Energizer podcast. To find out more about building a successful career in IT, visit itcareerenergizer.com.